of confidence in Ben Swift, but he's one of those sprinters, Robbie, I feel he still has to confirm himself and find his way in the big league.
Yeah, and I think he really needs to be led in and maybe concentrate a little bit more on the sprint if he wants to win more bunch sprints. He's the type of guy who can survive a tough course, still be there when there's only 60 guys left out of 200 starters and win that sprint. What I'm seeing here in the bunch as we look down is more blocks of colours. The teams are really starting to group together. I saw the red of Team Lotto with Adam Hansen on the front. They'll be looking after Pim Lichtart for the sprint. Also the white and black colours, mainly white jersey of Dimension Data with Tyler Farrer and Mark Renshaw and Rensburg also. They'll have a very handy little train. So you'll see the teams really starting to group as we come inside the last 13 kilometres. And just the intensity of everyone trying to get towards the front. Look at the pace pick up all across the road as we now see the time gap at 35 seconds.
Oh dear. Astana taking the head of the race now. Boys in those light blue colours, and they've really accelerated it now. 12.6. You may well catch him by the 10 kilometre to go marker here, the speed they're coming.
Got to get used to the new jerseys of what used to be the MTN Quebecer squad on the right-hand side. It's now Dimension Data, but you can still see that big Quebecer hand sign on their backs right in the middle. The pain now etched all over the face of this man, Sean Lake, on the front of 43 seconds. It always hovers a little bit. The time gaps we're getting now are coming from the GPS, which is related from the two motorbikes alongside the front of the main field and the rider, but it gives us an indication as to whether the gap is going up or coming down. You can now see the Dimension Data riders right in the middle, and the man who I suppose is the team captain on the road, Tyler Farrer, he has said that their sprinter who is the most motivated is Reinhard Jans van Rensburg, and he was sixth the other night, so he's obviously got a very good turn of speed. Now you've got the lime green jerseys of Cannondale getting themselves organised. They're thinking about Wouter Whippet. Well, they're all now waiting for the moment to pull in that big fish.
Well, they're also waiting for that moment of when they do start that big lead out, and with the wind going to be against them, it's going to be quite late, but it's about staying at the front of the bunch but not on the front of the bunch. You want to get everyone together and poised for that big attack and lead out at the right time and launch your man to the line.
The gap is 40 seconds. Laurent Pichon from Team FDJ of France driving at the front now. Everybody wants to have a go, but we are hearing that there has been a puncture at the back of the race. Not sure where it is, but we believe it's Orica Green Edge riders. We see if we can show you. And there they are. Looks like Matt Heyman is in the front of it. Yes, and the other rider there is Michael Hepburn, who's been spearheading the race. How bad is that? So they've lost two riders there, the most crucial moment of the race. Here's now Matthew Heyman back in the convoy.
Well, Matthew Heyman, he was indicating his back wheel as well to the team mechanic in the car, so it looks like he maybe has an incident too. This is all panic that you do not need in the last 10 or 12 minutes of the race. 11.2 kilometres to go. Let's not forget there is a lone leader still just 35 seconds off the front. But Matty Heyman, he's not the sort of guy who's going to panic at a moment like this. 37 years of age. He's been a professional since the year 2000.
Oh, he's too experienced to panic, Paul. And with 11 kilometres to go, what we saw there was Heyman puncturing, and immediately the man who's been doing all the work today and his job was over, Michael Hepburn, he stopped immediately and gave his wheel. That's the quickest change you can get rather than waiting for the car. And then Matt Heyman was just asking for his brakes to be adjusted a little bit so it's not rubbing on the wheel. He'll cruise his way back in the slipstream of the cars, get back onto the peloton and go about looking after, well, the man they sort of term his little brother, Caleb Ewan. He looks after him, both Canberra boys, and Heyman will be back at the head of the bunch really quite quickly, I think.
Look at Jack Bobridge, the champion of Australia of just over a week, in those yellow sleeves there, looking around where his team sprinters are. He's got a few that could deliver. Remember, he's virtually passing his hometown of Gawler on the way to the finishing line today.
Yes, but also look at the leaves on those trees. They're extremely blustery, and when we get a chance to see, look at the flags on the left-hand side of the road. It's showing that there's a slight wind coming from the left-hand side, but as Robbie noticed a little bit earlier on, when you get into the finishing straight, it seems as if the wind is coming from the right-hand side, and the riders will be hugging the barriers on the left-hand side of the road, only offering one position to try and come past, and that's in the wind on the right.
Yeah, you don't want to give your competitors any room to manoeuvre or give them any slipstream to run out of, so you want to be against the barriers and have them having to come around on the windy side, if you like, and give them no shelter and no run at you. But before they get to that point, they're going to have to get along that very long straight leading into Lindok. And well, I'm curious about which team will have the firepower to really put things on the side, and if this race will split up, and if there'll be enough crosswind to really do some damage to the bunch before we even get about sprinting.
Well, they're all waiting, Phil, for the moment to take up the responsibility. They've now slowed down a fraction. To get to the front, riders take crazy risks. You can see the gravel on either side, and as soon as you find a smooth little piece of pavement, well, riders will use that if they can, any way that they want to get up to the front end of the main field.
Well, Paul, the riders now are approaching that final left-hand corner out of Williamstown. They're going to swing onto the Barossa Way fairly shortly as they come out of Williamstown. They're always, every corner that comes up, there's a little race towards it. They want to get into that corner, take control. As they come through the centre of Williamstown, it's when they exit the town itself, they'll turn left onto that long road. And they want to make sure they're at the front there, because if there's crosswind, you need to be at the front to stay out of trouble or do the damage if that's what you're about.
25 seconds out, 9.3 kilometres to go. Slightly further, I think, judging by what we've just seen.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Robbie, as we see the lone leader now, 25 seconds. Once he gets out of the big, long, straighter road, they'll have him in their sights now. Another quick question coming in here. All things ideal, who do you think is going to be the fastest sprinter today?
Well, I think all being ideal, I think Caleb Ewan is still the fastest. I think there's a lot of guys evenly matched in terms of speed. They're maybe as fast as Caleb at the moment, but I think he's just got more form, better condition. So he's going to get to the end of this stage with just a bit fresher legs and I think access all of his speed. But that's the thing, it's never ideal when you come into a sprint. There is so much going on, and it's not always the fastest guy who wins, but sometimes the canniest.
Well, it's not a drag strip. It's not lines on the road where everyone drives as if you're in a car. You've got to be in the right place at the right time. That gap now just 20 seconds. The main field have the lone survivor, Sean Lake, very much in their sights here as they once again they're spread out across the road. A little bit of damage being done at the back here, and this is number 87, and Gouguet, he has been left behind now after that last brief acceleration, but he's put a lot of effort into today's stage.
It looks as though Alexis Gouguet has paid the price of his early break. He's tailing off the back of the race just now. He's going to lose time.
No, he certainly is, Phil. And as you can see, just slipping to the back, number 41, Thomas de Gent. He's an experienced rider trying to find some form here, but now's the nervous time in this race. And again, it's always a little bit of a concern when you see a few specks of rain on the helicopter camera, because if they get too much of a, especially when it's been so hot down here for the moment, Robbie, when you get just a few specks of rain, it can be worse than a torrential downpour.
Well, that's the thing. When a road is generally very dry, there's a bit of dust on the road, maybe a bit of stuff from the cars, a little bit of oil, you get just a tiny bit of rain, and it's actually more slippery than having a lot of rain. So that's the last thing you want, but at least this course is pretty straightforward, no really tight bends. They're about to turn onto the Lindok Valleyway out of Williamstown, and the catch is nearly made. We see Sean Lake now just in front of the peloton, but being a Uni SA representative in this tour, he is going to push on and stay in front for every extra centimetre possible.
Well, he will not give up until he can feel the breath of the main field on the back of his neck. He's really hoping to survive. He hopes there'll be a mistake. He hopes something will happen in the main field. Lamprey looking very organised in that very famous pink and blue jerseys now on the right-hand side. You can see just winding their way through the middle, looking very comfortable there. It looks like the man who won this race last year, Rowan Dennis, who wears number 1 for Team BMC Racing. He's not, I think, thinking about the sprint here this afternoon. He's just thinking about safety. 7 kilometres to go. That's going to take these riders now around about 9 minutes at these kind of speeds.
And we're looking on the left-hand side down on the Lotto train. The boys in the red there, so they're starting to get interested at 7 kilometres to go. But again, you see they get up on the side. They don't go right the way to the front. They're at the front but not on the front, trying to conserve that energy as much as possible. You see their sprinter down about 5th position, and it could well be Greg Henderson that gets a go at it today, and not Lichtart. It'll be for them to sort out who is feeling the best.
Well, it was the Queenslander Adam Hansen who's ridden the last 13 Grand Tours, who was driving for Lotto there, but this man still surviving, refusing to make it easy. Lamprey trying to take control. They've got men that could deliver today. 6.5 kilometres to go, and I'm afraid it's not going to make 6. Tremendous day of racing for Sean Lake. He's got to be awarded the most combative rider by Alpecin today, as well as the black spotted jersey as the Subaru King of the Mountains. It has not been all in vain.
Well, he did a fantastic job, and you can see now the body language tells it all. When all of a sudden the will to win has been ripped off your shoulders, he realizes now that he's put in a great effort this afternoon. He's learned a lot about himself, he's learned a lot about professional racing, and that's a name that I think we need to retain, because we'll talk about it an awful lot more over the years. And what a great chat to have around the dinner table tonight, Robbie, about the breakaway he had this afternoon.
Well, he's again flown the colours very well, the green and gold of the Uni SA team, our virtual national team here in this race. And there's the catch. He's finally back in the peloton and took off at 0 kilometres ridden. So he's had a long day. He's been 125 kilometres almost out the front. So good on Sean Lake, and he'll be rewarded at the end of the stage. His legs might hurt a little bit climbing up onto the podium, but it'll be worth it.
Now reshuffle. Now everybody knows they're racing for the victory, and whoever wins the stage will be the first leader of the Santos Tour Down Under, because they will take a small bonus of 10 seconds as well as the win. Big Ian Stannard on the left of our picture, being trailed by the champion of Great Britain in that white jersey. I can also see Sarah Motins down there, the champion of Latvia for I Am Cycling. And so they now believe in themselves. Lotto moving their men up on the left of the picture.
And alongside then Dimension Data, you can see as well, Phil, starting to get themselves organised out. Of 5 kilometres to go, it's still a 7 or so minute effort. But all of a sudden, Peter Kenyon in the white jersey, champion of Great Britain, on the right-hand side, jumping into the dirt and the gravel a fraction, jumping his bike, bunny hopping back up to stay on the tarmac. The average speed over the last 5 kilometres of the main field now, 45 kilometres an hour. It is certainly starting to get grippy. It's now a question, Phil, of which team is going to be the most organised. In the new colours of blue in the middle, Ethics Quick Step on the left-hand side, the dark black jersey Sky. On the right-hand side, that's Tyler Farrar, the American rider, in the white jersey, and the Australian national champion with the yellow, I should say, golden sleeves there. Of course, that's Jack Bobridge.
Trying to place his sprinters in the right position. He knows he can't win for himself, so he's trying to get a win for the team. That would be an incredible result for Jack, who's just recently won the Australian Championship. Now he's racing on home roads here in South Australia. And that's him, number 61, and he's putting his sprinters in his slipstream. Let's have a look once more at Sam Spokes' heart rate. It's getting a bit excited now, Rob. 178 beats a minute.
Well, it looks like Sam's gone to work trying to help his sprinter out and trying to get their way to the front of the peloton. They're still spread really thickly across the road. It doesn't look like there's any sort of crosswind having an influence at the moment. Team Sky had chosen the right-hand side of the road. As we look down on a couple of the Tinkoff riders, they'll be trying to get Adam Blythe up there, but Team Sky resolutely chosen for the right-hand side. They've got their last man. I see Geraint Thomas and Kenyok there, just perched right on the edge of the road. So it seems that wind is now just starting to pick up from their left-hand side. So they've chosen their side, and they're going to stick with that. And that's what you really need to do as a sprint team when you're leading out. You don't chop and change. You choose a side and give the rest of the peloton only one side to attack you on, and not both. It's up to Ben Swift to stick right in the wheel of his teammates and get taken all the way into that last couple of 100 metres.
Well, the work is done here, so he slips away. Ji Cheng, the only Chinese rider in the race, set the pace at the front. I don't think he's got a mechanical there, but now we've got to see who is in the best place to win this sprint. Team Sky simply ran out of firepower a couple of days ago when they raced around the streets of Adelaide, and they paid the price. Ben Swift only crossed the line in 4th place. Now they look as though they're doing it a little bit better. There's a lot of riders getting excited there, and that is often the recipe for disaster.
Yeah, we nearly saw a little touch down there, Phil, in the middle of the pelotons. We look at Jack Bobridge here. He's dropped back through to the back of the peloton. Not really Jack's thing to get mixed up in the sprint finishes, but he also doesn't want to lose any time. He wants to just stay in touch. We'll try and just follow the peloton. With only 2.5 kilometres to go now, we're getting really, really close to the finish. No team yet with this wind has decided to really lay it on the line and try to really go about pulling the sprint. Team Sky still in control, one rider with all the rest of his team in the wheel, but there's so many elbows, a lot of touches of shoulders, guys pushing through. A little one there from one of the riders in red from Drapac, just leaning on the Astana rider, just making sure he can follow his teammates. And that was actually Brenton Jones. He's following Graham Brown. Still quite a long way back with just over 2 kilometres to go. Do you see riders coming off the front from doing their work? They drop back through the peloton. Everyone else has to manoeuvre around them. Ian Stannard, his work is done. He swings off. It's now Dimension Data that take up the running. That was Tyler Farrer who just hit the front quite early for him, which tells me they have got some other fast guys ready to go, and most probably Mark Renshaw on the back of that train.
Janse van Rensburg is the sprinter today. He sprinted so well the other day, didn't quite get up in the end, but look at the change now. Wouter Wippert, watch out for him. He's starting to move right to the front. He won the last stage of this race a year ago. He's already said he wants to win the first stage this time out. The pressure now very, very much on as we say farewell to Ian Stannard. He's put his men in the position, but can they finish it off? 1.5 kilometres to go.
Well, it's a mix of the Quebecer riders from Dimension Data just swung off the front. Now it's Team Sky with 1, 2, 3, 4 riders. Daryl Impey there with Caleb Ewan in his wheel on the left-hand side. Looks to me like Renshaw tucked in on the back of Sky. They're really starting to string things out now, but Impey just with Caleb Ewan tucked in behind him really nicely in his slipstream, not catching any of that wind. Brenton Jones is up behind Caleb Ewan. He's run 6-2, second to him 6 times this year already. Right. But it's Team Sky in the front. Geraint Thomas in second wheel. He is ready. Luke Rowe behind him, and with Ben Swift, they look to be in complete control at the moment. Impey still guiding Caleb Ewan. They're in about 5th position. Impey now going shoulder to shoulder with one of the Dimension Data guys, and it's Impey now goes on the left-hand side in the blue. Caleb Ewan following up. He's decided he is tucking in, and I think that must be Renshaw or Rensburg. Brenton Jones trying to get there. Greg Henderson on the left. Adam Blythe, I think, coming through. Someone looking to try and make an attack in the bright yellow.
The final bend here now as they sweep into the home straight. Now Caleb is in a perfect position, dodging wheels. It's Boy Van Poppel in the white they're trying to go as they break to the left and gritting the teeth with Brenton Jones. Now is Caleb Ewan going to get this one as he bursts from the middle in the sprinting style of Mark Cavendish. He is coming clear again. He makes it look all too easy. Ewan, Mark Renshaw, Wouter Wippert, the order over the line.
Well, Phil, what a fantastic patient sprint yet again from Caleb Ewan, and he followed the man. Well, I picked him as I would have had him as my lead-out man, Mark Renshaw. Caleb Ewan, I don't know if he got that message, but he followed Mark Renshaw all the way in. Renshaw's done a great sprint himself. When Ewan has come out of the slipstream, he's waited a long time, but once he's gone, he's just exploded through the middle. I think he nearly grazed his nose on his front tyre as he came up the straight. We came into the final kilometre. It was Team Sky with Kenyok on the front. Geraint Thomas then taking over. One of the Tinkoff riders trying to slide through on the left-hand side.